Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Women of Golf Show. I'm your host, Ted Odorico, and normally joining alongside me here every Tuesday morning is none other than Legends Tour player and LPGA professional Cindy Miller. But Cindy is off this week. She's actually, I believe, on her way back now from Florida, where she was attending a meeting for the LPGA teachers and club professionals, I believe, and it was in lieu of her recent nomination, if you will, to being the president of the Northeast chapter, and actually she is now going to be the president for, I think it's 2 years. I'm not sure how long the job entails, whether it's just for a year or for 2 years, but she's been off and this through the weekend and coming back today sometime, so she wasn't able to be back in time to join me on the show this morning, so we're certainly going to miss her. But next week she'll be coming back, in addition to a great guest. She'll be coming back to continue on her series Own Your Game from her Own Your Game Academy, so we'll look forward to that. So we're certainly going to miss you today, Cindy, but as always, enjoy your commentary and your input into the program, and it is certainly going to be missed this week, but I look forward to having you coming back and joining me next week. So as I said, Cindy won't be with us this morning, but she will be back next Tuesday here on the Women of Golf Show. Thanks for joining us. We are live every Tuesday mornings from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and best way to find us, of course, is go to blogtalkradio.com/Women of Golf, or just go up into the link, blogtalkradio.com, and up in the search key, you can just type Women of Golf, and that will take you there as well. And as I mentioned, we are live on Tuesday mornings from 9 to 10 Eastern in the morning, but for some reason, if you're not able to join us, not a problem. Just go to blogtalkradio.com/Women of Golf. And when you get to that main page, if you just scroll down, you'll see the on-demand section. And so if you're not able to join us live, just go to the on-demand section. All of the shows are auto-recorded. So if you can't join us live on Tuesdays, not a problem. Just go to that page, and when you get to the on-demand section, you can go and pick up any of the shows that you may have missed and listen to the recorded version. So we hope you'll do that for those of you that can't tune in the mornings. Also, you can go to iTunes.com for those of you that use iTunes a lot, and just go into the podcast section and type in Women of Golf as well, and you can also listen to the show through that. We'd always love to take your calls. We would love for you to join us in the mornings here on Tuesdays, and you can do so by calling area code 347-945-5855. And feel free to comment on any of the shows that we've been doing, or if you have questions for Cindy and I about your golf game, or just general questions about golf, we would be more than happy to take those calls. So, again, the number is 347-945-5855, and, of course, you can only do that during the live broadcast from 9 to 10 on Tuesdays. Also, you can, if you don't want to call in, if you're a little bit shy, you can email your questions about the program to womenofgolf@gmail.com. That's womenofgolf@gmail.com. And if you're somebody in the golf profession, whether you're a player or a teaching professional or coach, or maybe somebody that's more of an entrepreneur, and maybe you've got a great product or a product line that you would like to share with our listeners. Obviously, the show is designed really for the women's market, so that's really who we're looking for, but we're certainly willing to have anybody come on the show, male or female. But again, this program is really designed to grow women's golf. But you can reach out to either Cindy and I, and Cindy's email is cindy@cindymillergolf.com. That's cindy@cindymillergolf.com, and we'll be more than happy to get you into the schedule here. Or you can also reach out to me at ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. That's ted.golftalklive @gmail.com. So any way that you want, there's numerous ways that you can get in touch with us. If you're interested in the program, feel free to reach out, and we'd be more than happy to help you. And while I'm on the subject of programs, for those of you that may be familiar with me already, I host another evening program Thursday evenings on blogtalkradio.com called Golf Talk Live. And that's a 2-hour program, Thursday evenings from 6 to 8 p.m. Central. And again, just go to blogtalkradio.com, and this time up in the search key, type Golf Talk Live, and that will bring you to the main page. And as I said, from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Time, or 7 to 9 for those of you on the East Coast, is the live broadcast. And the first hour of the show, we actually just started last week with a part of the program that we've been doing for the last couple of years called Coach's Corner. So the first hour of the show is Coach's Corner, where it's a panel discussion, and I invite a number of different teaching professionals and coaches onto the floor, if you will, and we have a discussion about various different topics, or sometimes we'll field some questions from the audience as far as helping their game, or maybe just general questions about golf, and we try to have that discussion on the panel. We're going to be doing some different things this year just to sort of mix it up, but that's a great discussion to have on Thursday evenings, the first hour of Golf Talk Live. And then the second hour, I have a featured guest that I bring on, and again, it can range anything from players to coaches and teaching professionals to authors and all kinds of entrepreneurs in the golf industry. And it's just a way for me to share with not only my fellow golf professionals, but also with the general public, just some of the great people out in the golf industry that maybe normally don't always get heard about, or maybe haven't made it onto the Golf Channel as of yet. Some have, of course, many have, in fact, but sometimes they would like to have a voice to expose what it is that they do. So make sure that you tune in Thursday evenings from 6 to 8 p.m. Central to blogtalkradio.com/Golf Talk Live, and you will hear yours truly talking some great things about golf with a great panel of coaches on the Coach's Corner the first hour. But thank you for joining us this morning. Got a great show for you today. A little bit later on in the broadcast, I'm going to be joined by professional golfer Fiamma Felitch, and she is a professional golfer who currently is playing on both the Cactus Tour and also the Symetra Tour. And she was also on Big Break Florida, I think 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. In fact, I believe she was the runner-up in a playoff on that particular episode. So we're going to talk to her a little bit about that. And then she's going to be joined, of course, by the owner and president of Flir Golf. That's F-L-I-R-T Golf. And that is Ashley Dyer. She is the president owner of that company. And it's a women's golf apparel. And they actually I believe, recently launched the apparel line at this year's PGA Merchandising Show, which was just a couple of months ago. And Fiamma and Ashley, of course, work very closely on this. We're going to get some feedback from them on how it went at the PGA Merchandising Show and some of the things that you can get in the apparel line. We'll talk about what their current plans are and what their future plans are as well. So we'll bring them on a little bit. But I thought what I would do, since I've got a few minutes, they're not coming on for probably but another 15 or so minutes. I wanted to talk to you about something that I actually sort of leaked out a little bit on my other program on Thursday nights, Golf Talk Live. And it was really about something that I've been working on for a long, long time, really to help some of the struggling golfers out there. A lot of people, as I'm sure most of you that struggle with your game, one of the issues that most people are dealing with is consistency and things like that in their actual golf game. But there are a lot out there that can, hit the ball fairly well, but they just have difficulties navigating around the golf course. So I wanted to talk to you today. I've sort of narrowed it down to what I call the 4 factors to play your best golf, and I'm going to be coming out in more detail in a little bit, but I just wanted to touch base on a little bit since I have the time this morning. And the 4 factors are this. Number 1 is position, and I'll explain that in just a minute. Number 2 is the approach. Number 3 is recovery, and of course, number 4 is scoring. And those 4 factors are factors that you really need to use when you're playing, whether it be in your club championship or even playing in a professional event. And I'm going to explain a little bit more of that. We've all heard about target golf in the past, hitting to a specific target. And that's really what positioning means. When you're playing a round of golf, one of the things most people end up worrying about is whether or not they're getting the club in the right position. They've got 1,000 thoughts going through their mind from the very moment they hit the first tee. And that can be very detrimental to your golf game, because what ultimately ends up happening is you get so clouded with worrying about having the perfect swing and hitting the ball just perfectly every time, which, as we all know from watching any of the tours, whether it be the men's or the ladies' tours, that just doesn't happen. You're not going to hit every shot perfectly. There's going to be some bad ones along the way, and there's really these 4 factors will help put things in perspective. So I'm going to go through each of them just a little bit, give you a brief description of each one, and then I'll just sort of sum it up, and then by that time my guests should be available, and we'll continue on with the conversation with Fiamma and Ashley. So number 1, as I mentioned, is positioning, and really what that means is when you come, whether it be on the first tee or any really hole, is you want to find out, you want to have an understanding hole by hole of where you want to position, particularly your tee shot, where you want it to land, and obviously, you're not going to be precise on the dime, so to speak, but you want a general area. So, for instance, if you're somebody that typically either slices or fades the ball a little bit, more often than not, you're going to be playing to the right side of the fairway, and conversely, if you're somebody that either hooks or draws the ball, a lot of times you're going to pull that into the left side of the fairway. And depending on how you line up on the tee shot is going to dictate where the ball is going to go, essentially, or where it's going to have the outcome. So you can kind of cheat a little bit by, if you want it to be more in the center of the fairway and you're typically a drawer of the ball, then you might want to aim a little bit more down to the right side. But regardless of what your shape shot is, the thing that you need to really focus on when you're coming up to that first tee is you want to think about where you want the ball to position. So a lot of times you've heard players talk about, okay, I want to know what my second shot's going to be, and sort of thinking a couple of shots ahead. So you want to definitely do that. So when you're looking at a hole, so let's say for argument's sake, if you're playing a par 4, and it might be, we'll keep the numbers simple, let's say it's about 400 yards, which typically is around, it's a good length for a par 4. And maybe your drives are averaging about 225 to 250, in that range there. So you want to be able to find an area in the fairway that you can hit to that's going to give you the best opportunity to hit your second shot, which is going to be your approach shot to the green or to your next target. And so one of the things that you need to do is focus on that position. So you want to look at what's in the area. For instance, you want to land necessarily in the center of the fairway, because sometimes that may not be conducive depending on what course you're playing. Some of the courses down here in the south, a lot of times we'll have a bunker somewhere near the center of the fairway, may come in from the right side. And actually, I've played some courses in Myrtle Beach where they'll actually have a bunker that sort of bisects the center of the fairway. So unless you're able to hit over that bunker, sometimes you might have to hit short of that. Or the bunker may cover part of the fairway. You may need to hit to a different area. So you want to work on the positioning. That's what your focus wants to be when you're first coming out, is where am I going to position the ball? And once you've done that, then you execute the shot. Make sure that you've got a good grip and your stance is pointing you in that direction. So you're aiming parallel to the target. So if your target is going to be to the left side of the fairway, because that's where you need to position your first shot, then you want to aim a little bit to the left side of the fairway, and you want your target to be aimed to the left side as well. So you want it to be almost like, as you've heard them refer to as train tracks. So you want it to be parallel to your target line. So once you've hit the shot and you've hopefully landed in that first position, now you're setting yourself up for a good approach shot. So again, depending on your abilities, if you're able to reach the green in 2 on this specific shot, now you want to look for your next target. And obviously, if you're able to reach the green, you might want to land on the green. You want to look at the trouble around it. You want to see if there's bunkers immediately either in front of or to either side or even the back of the green. And you want to find out where the pin is placed, if it's pinned in the back, or if it's in the front or the center or left or right, depending on where it is. And you want to set yourself up for your approach. So again, you're sort of a combination of your position and approach shot at this point. Now, let's say for argument's sake, let's back up for a second, and let's say you hit your tee shot and it didn't land in your ideal position. You landed maybe into the rough or into some of the woods, depending on, again, the course that you're playing. Then now you're going to hit basically number 3 factor that's going to come into play, and that's going to be a recovery. You may not be in a position to go for approach. Maybe the ball's sitting down in an overly fluffy lie, and or deep into the rough, and you don't want to risk trying to go for the green, so you may have to lay up. So now you're going to hit a recovery shot, and that's just going to get you back into play. So again, you're going to look for that position. You're going to look for where you want the ball to go, and it might be just 30, 40, 50 yards into the fairway, getting you set up for another approach shot. So again, depending on your circumstance, you have to weigh that out. What most golfers do, and this is something that I try to work through with a lot of my corporate golfers, is they're focused too much on swing mechanics and on, as I said earlier, on hitting the perfect shot. And the problem with that is they're not really thinking about strategy. And really the four factors that I'm talking about really plays into strategy. And if you have a game plan or a strategy when you go out to play your next round of golf, then mentally that's going to help you as well, because you're going to have a game plan, if you will, and an idea of how you want to play hole by hole. And that's how most of the pros do it. They may actually have 2 or 3 holes in their head and how they want to play each of the holes, and then break their round up into quarters. They may want to break it up into a couple of holes at a time. It just depends on the individual player and their abilities. Some can map out the entire 18 in their head and just be able to navigate that way. Others like to break it up into pairs, maybe a couple of holes or 2 or 3 holes that they'll play at a time, and then they'll sort of reformulate that game plan for the next group of holes. But nevertheless, what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to do that. And again, the approach shot, as I talked about, factor 2, is you want to focus on your approach shot. So again, you want to look at the trouble that's in the area surrounding the green. If you're able to reach it in 2, then you want to factor in that approach shot and give yourself the best chance of scoring and hopefully going for a birdie, and at the very least going for par. And number 3, of course, as I mentioned, is recovery. And recovery really can apply. If you think of a hole, let's take this hole again, a par 4. In a perfect world, you're going to hit your position shot, you're going to hit your approach shot, and hopefully you're going to be in a position to score. But there may be situations, as I mentioned, where you might hit your position shot, which is your first shot, and maybe not get the ideal or desired lie that you want. Now you're either in, again, depending on the situation, you could be in a recovery mode. So now you're going to recover that shot. So it could be position, recovery, then you're going to go for your approach shot, and then going score. So there's a combination that could come into play with those 4 factors. On a par 3, obviously, you could be fortunate and you might hit your position shot landing in a good spot on the green, and might be in a position right away to score, eliminating recovery and obviously your approach and position shot are one and the same in that particular case on a par 3. But the idea with these 4 factors is to give you a specific thing to think and focus on as you're navigating around the course, as opposed to about 20 or 30 things. Now, you can still have a swing trigger, like some people like to, think of maybe pressing their hands a little bit forward to initiate the backswing. You can still have that as well if you've been working with a professional, and maybe they've got some points that they want you to work on in order to initiate the swing. By all means, you can certainly do that. But you don't want to cloud your judgment, if you will, with all kinds of swing thoughts and ideas going around the golf course, because ultimately what it's going to do is it's going to confuse you, it's going to frustrate you at the very least, and you're not going to enjoy your round. And I think one thing that I've noticed, particularly with female golfers, in addition to male golfers, but particularly with female golfers being, many of them still being fairly new to the game, is they're worried about how they're going to look on the golf course. They don't want to embarrass themselves. So they get so many thoughts going in their head in order to avoid that, instead of just actually out there playing the game. And ultimately, they're not having fun doing that. So that's something that you want to really consider when you're playing your next round of golf, is put these 4 factors into perspective. Again, let me just run through them really quick. Positioning, where do you want to position the ball off the tee? Number 2, your approach shot. Where do you want to hit your approach shot to give you the best opportunity for scoring? Number 3, it's going to happen inevitably throughout a round of golf. Your position shot or even your approach shot may not hit the ideal target that you want, so now you're in a recovery mode. What shot are you going to need to give yourself the best chance to get back into either an approach shot or in a scoring position? So you want to think of your recovery shot. So these things you can work out on the driving range as well, or the practice tee. when you're out there warming up before a round, or if you have some time to go out during the week before you play the next time and you want to work on your game. Don't just work on ball striking and working on the fundamentals. Obviously, you want to do those things as well, but allocate some of your time to work on your strategy, if you will. So again, positioning, approach, recovery, and also scoring. If you work on those 4 factors and keep those as part of your strategy, I guarantee you that you will play better golf. And having said that, I'm going to get into more specifics in the future about that, but I just wanted to give you a general overview here this morning while I had the opportunity to do so. And I think if you really stick to that, and one thing that I found working with a lot of my corporate golfers is that they've been able to use that formula, that strategy, if you will, and have actually found themselves playing better golf because they're not thinking about whether they're getting into the right position all the time, meaning their golf swing, or whether they're hitting the perfect shot. They know that if they don't hit the perfect shot, that they have to now go into recovery mode. So how do they recover? And then they execute the shot that they need to get themselves back in the proper position. And I think if you focus, as I said, on those 4 factors, you will find that you'll be able to not only play better golf, but you'll have more fun doing so. And I'm sure if Cindy was here, she would concur with that. Both of us have seen time and time again as teaching professionals, we've seen so many people out there on the golf course that just really boggle their mind down with so many thoughts and getting into the swing mechanics and getting into all of the other outside elements that creep into their mind, and they're just not having fun. And this leads to the frustration. And I think one of the reasons why over the last few decades you've started to see people actually leaving the game, certainly not so much at the professional level, but the amateurs have just become frustrated because they're just not having fun. And we want you to have fun. We want you to get out there. We want you to enjoy your next round of golf and every round of golf. And I think if you follow some of the tips that we're giving you here, Cindy and I are giving you on the show, I think that you'll be able to do that. So we want to encourage particularly the women this morning that are listening to the show. We want you to be able to really think about some things that maybe you're struggling with your game, and we would love to hear from you. We truly would. We would love for you to call. That number again is 347-945-5855, 347-945-5855, or you can email questions or comments to womenofgolf@gmail.com, and we'll be certainly more than happy to answer them here on the air for you. And you can also, as I mentioned, if you're interested in coming on the show, if you've got something to share, if you're in the golf industry, whether, again, player, teacher, coach, or an entrepreneur in the game that you want to share your thoughts or viewpoints with our listeners, we'd be more than happy to have you on here. We have some great guests that have been coming on the show here for the last couple of years that we've been doing the program. We're into our 3rd year with the Women of Golf show, and it seems to be growing each and every week and every year. So we're all going to continue to bring you this great format. And as I mentioned, we've got some great guests this morning. Fiamma Felitch is going to be coming on here with Ashley Dyer, and Fiamma, as I mentioned, is playing currently on the Cactus Tour and the Symetra Tour, and she was also on the Big Break Florida. And she's going to be joining us here in just a moment, as well as Ashley Dyer. And Ashley is, of course, the owner and president of Owner-Flir Golf, which is a women's apparel line. And they actually just, as I understand, and they'll correct me, I'm sure, when they come on, they actually, I believe, just launched this at the PGA Merchandising Show at the end of January this year in 2016. So we're going to hear a little bit about that. I'm going to talk to Fiamma, of course, a little bit about her game and where she's at and what her future plans are. And then, of course, Ashley as well is going to join in the conversation and talk about her clothing line and what she's currently doing with it and where she hopes to expand as time goes on. So we're going to talk to them here in just a few minutes. But remember to tune in each and every Tuesday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Women of Golf show. Just as I said earlier, go to blogtalkradio.com, type up in the search key Women of Golf, and that will take you to the home page. And during the live broadcast, of course, that will be at the top of the page. And for some reason, if you can't join us during our live broadcast, just scroll down to the on-demand section. Excuse me while I take a sip of water. And you'll be able to see the on-demand section. You'll be able to listen to the previously aired shows that have been, of course, auto-recorded. So you can certainly go and listen to them there. And don't forget to join me Thursday evenings from 6 to 8 p.m. Central or 7 to 9 Eastern Time on my other program. It's a 2-hour show, Golf Talk Live. We've got one coming up this Thursday with a great Coach's Corner panel starting out the first hour, and followed by a great guest on the second hour. So make sure you tune into that. That's Thursdays from 6 to 8 Central or 7 to 9 Eastern Time for those of you on the East Coast. And that's Golf Talk Live. Going to blogtalkradio.com, up in the search key type Golf Talk Live, and that will take you to that show as well. So I hope you can join me on Thursday nights and join Cindy and I every Tuesday morning here on the Women of Golf Show. So I just got a moment or two here. The ladies should be joining me momentarily. When they do, I'll bring them on. But remember to tune in, as I said, next week. Cindy Miller will be coming back off a short break, and we'll be continuing on with another great segment of her Own Your Game series. And we look forward to doing that. And that's really a series that Cindy has put together. We did that actually the first year that we started the program and went into some specific, there were I think about 12 versions of it, or 12 segments to it, and talked about everything from the mental side to the physical side and emotional and so forth. And so we're going to talk about, and one of the real questions that really we all need to ask is why? Why do we play this game? Are we playing it because we want to be competitive? Are we playing it because we want to just go out and maybe have a social aspect to the game and meet new friends, or maybe it's for business purposes. Maybe we're looking to be able to work with business partners who maybe use golf as a business tool. It's become a great business tool. So that's just a great way to be able to use golf. And I encourage all of you to tune in every Tuesday morning, listen to the program. We'll do our best to help you. I see that it looks like the ladies are ready. So let me just bring on Fiamma Felitch and Ashley Dyer, and we'll continue discussion this morning on Women of Golf. Good morning, ladies. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. This have I got both of you here?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was an echo or if it was actually two of you. Well, good morning, ladies, and welcome to the Women of Golf. And I'm, of course, the host, Ted Odorico. And this week, as I don't know if you had a chance to listen in earlier on, but Cindy, unfortunately, is not with me this morning. She actually had another engagement. She's part of the LPGA Teaching and Club Professionals. She was just elected the president of the Northeast chapter, and they had a meeting down in Florida this week. So she's actually on a plane right now as we speak on her way home. So she wasn't able to join us, but I'm going to navigate through as best I can and see if we can have a great show this morning. Fiamma, I want to start with you just very briefly. So Ashley, if you want to just maybe sit tight for a moment or two. And Fiamma, I just wanted to sort of maybe expand a little bit about what I talked about. Of course, you were on the Big Break. You appeared, I think, 2 years ago on the Big Break Florida?
Yes. I was on the Big Break Florida.
Right. Tell us a little bit about that experience. Obviously, a lot has happened since then. What did you take away from that experience, do you think?
It was amazing. I think I learned a lot about myself and how I handled pressure situations. On the show, sometimes you only get one shot a day to stay on the show, and if you don't hit it well, then you're going home. So right. I definitely learned how to breathe and execute some good shots during the whole filming. For 18 holes of golf, if you have a bad hole, you have 17 more to recover. And so it just taught me a lot about staying calm and really helped me learn a lot about my mental game. Yeah,
and I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I think it was a great experience for you, I believe, because obviously, you're really in many ways starting out your career. You've obviously been playing competitively for a little while now, but that was really sort of the first aspect of starting out your career, correct?
Yes, I'd say so. Definitely coming in second and having a good run on the show helped me a lot.
Where are you now in your golfing career, and what are some of your long-term goals? Where do you see yourself currently, and where do you see yourself navigating towards in the future?
Well, my long-term goal is obviously to make it full-time on the LPGA, so I'll be taking those steps this year to get there. So I'll start playing in some Cactus Tour events, some Symetra Tour events, and go to play in some Monday qualifiers for the LPGA, and just kind of work my way towards there. Yes.
Right, perfect. Now tell me, Ashley, I want to bring you into this as well, and Ashley, I'll let you share the story. So how did the relationship between the two of you develop? How did you, were you friends from before? Because I know you're both, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're both from Oklahoma, is that correct?
Yes, we're both in Oklahoma City, and we actually met. It was kind of fate. We were working out with the same trainer, and he obviously knew Fiamma played golf professionally and knew I was developing a women's golf clothing line. So he had us work out together. And that's how we met and kind of built a relationship from there.
Okay. And Fiamma, obviously, and I want to do this to lead into the clothing line, obviously looks and comfort are important when you're playing competitive golf. You have to be comfortable out there, but you also want to be stylish in that. So that's obviously important to you when you're out playing on the tour, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
And obviously this is – sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, son.
What I was going to say was, obviously you want to – number one, you want to look nice when you're out in the golf course. You want it to be comfortable. But you want it to feel good when you're out there as well, because there's nothing worse than playing in a competitive round and you're uncomfortable. The clothing, for whatever reason, just is not fitting well or it's just not comfortable. That becomes a distraction. So this is where, obviously, this relationship has benefited you as well as a player. So, Ashley, I want to jump to you real quick, and I want to ask you, first off, how did you come up with the name Flirty?
It's funny because I've been asked that question several times, and I really cannot remember. I just remember developing the line and looking at the designs and having all these great ideas, but not a great name. And I just racked my brain, and somehow it just came to me eventually. Thank goodness.
Well, it's a great idea because, one of the things, and Cindy and I have talked about this on the show, is, part of growing the game is not just dealing with the people that are already in the game that have been playing for a number of years. And I'm not just talking about seniors and that, but I'm talking about people in their 40s, 50s, and beyond that have been playing golf for a number of years. We want to attract a younger demographic into the game, and this is, from all intents and purposes, this is really, I believe, sort of one of your focuses on is to get particularly the younger females interested in golf, and one of the ways to do that, of course, is through fashion. So let's talk about when you first officially launched the line. And then, Ashley, maybe you can talk about maybe some of the ways that you're trying to differentiate yourself from some of the other women designers out there. So talk about when did the line launch, and then we'll go from there.
So the line launched actually to the public at the PGA show at the end of January of this year. That was our official, launch to everyone. However, Fiamma's been wearing the clothing in tournaments for the last year through development so that we could, like you were discussing earlier, make sure that the fit was perfect for playing, make sure that the clothes were comfortable, and make sure that they were functional. I'm an amateur golfer. I golf all the time, but I'm not a great golfer, so I really needed a professional opinion to help direct me and give me guidance in, what she needed and what other women would expect.
Right, and that's a really an interesting point, because as we know from even seeing on the men's tour now with players like Ricky Fowler and some of the other ones that are really sort of stepping out and being a little bit more fashion forward, it's obviously the younger players that are doing that. So you have to be able to create an atmosphere that's going to want to attract new golfers, and I see that in your line. Again, obviously you're catering to the women's market, but you're trying to really cater to a younger women's market, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, because that's where really the game is going to continue to grow. I mean, people that are already playing are playing the game, but if we want to get to some of the newer potential players out there, we have to find a way of bringing them in. So how do you feel you're going to differentiate yourself? Because as you saw down at the PGA show, ladies, this year, there are other women designers out there that are in the market. What do you think you're going to do differently, and how are you going to sort of keep competitive in that market?
Absolutely. So one of the aspects of flirty golf, I think, would be our actual design of our tops, especially. I feel like, and this, of course, is just my personal opinion, but I feel like golf clothing has become so outlandish as far as the patterns and the prints.
Right.
Because the actual design has not changed. You have a polo, and then you have a sleeveless polo.
Right.
So what Flirty Golf did and what we did was we designed tops that have a little bit more fashion and a little bit more style. So we have racerback tops that are backless. We have halter tops that are for golf but will help you to lose your golfer's tan. So we really looked at the design aspect versus just trying to put an outlandish pattern on there. Also, back to function, we're the first women's golf line to put a pouch in the bottom of every top that we make. For me, I put extra balls in there. Like I said, I'm not great for Fiamma. It's more scorecards and things like that. So that kind of, I think, sets us apart. I mean, looking at our pictures, I think you can obviously tell the design aspect is totally different than anything anyone else has done. So, you know, we do cater to a younger demographic from the pictures that you look at. You would think that, but you would be surprised to learn that most of my customers are probably mid-50s or 40 or over.
Now, I noticed. Yeah, I noticed. I noticed too in the line. I mean, obviously, I visited your website, and I'll let you very quickly in a moment read that out, so that after the show, people want to go and have a look at the line and hopefully make some orders. I noticed too that there were a lot of similarities to sort of the tennis aspect of as well in your skirts, particularly very similar to what you see in tennis, which is very popular with women. You see a lot of women wearing that of all different ages, of course. And I see there's a little bit of that in there as well from the traditional shorts that we've seen or skirts that we've seen on the golf scene. So Fiamma, let me ask you this, because you've had access, I'm sure, over the years to different products out there. What are some of the things that you like about this particular line, maybe compared to some of the competition out there, obviously in addition to what Ashley just mentioned?
Yeah, definitely. The squirts are so comfortable. I think in the past all the girls were wearing Lululemon. And one of the things that I think for me is, and I think for a lot of people is important, is the waistband on the squirt. And compared to the legs, the built-in spandex that are underneath, they have the elastic that sometimes is really tight compared to the waistband. So the waistband may fit really well, but then the legs are extremely tight. So during like the product testing, you know, they were samples obviously, so they were going to fit a little tighter, but I called Ashley and I said, okay, you know, I can't feel my legs, so we need to loosen up the elastic bands underneath. So she did great with making a waistband that fits all age demographics. So if you like wearing it lower on your hips, you can do that. If you like wearing it, you know, up to your belly button, you can wear it that way. And the legs fit, you know, she loosened up the elastic, I think, what'd you say, Ashley, 1 inch and
3/4.
And 3/4. So it gave a lot more room to work with there, which is really nice. Also, there is a pocket on the spandex shorts underneath as well. And for tennis, it's upside down so that the ladies can put the ball up under the skirt. For Ashley, she did it where it's right side up. That way we can just, you know, if you want to put a ball in there, some of the girls, we put a ball in there, you can do it that way as well. And it won't fall out.
Right. Now, Ashley, let me ask you something. When I look at this line, one of the things that I've noticed compared to, and you hit it right on the head earlier about some of the patterns that you see in golf. Traditionally, when you look at women's golf wear, and I'm, you know, women obviously can certainly wear everything, anywhere, anytime. But when you look at most of the lines out there, again, it's sort of the typical, you know, sleeved polo and non-sleeved polo shirts. If somebody's wearing that outfit, you know right away that they're probably playing golf or maybe tennis, but they're in some sort of activity. But your line seems to differentiate itself a little bit, because really some of your outfits, if somebody wanted to wear that outside of you know, the sport itself, they could do that and not feel like they're looking like they're dressed for golf. Correct?
Absolutely. I'm so happy that you picked up on that. That was really important to me. I'm a mom, and I have 4 dogs, and I have a business, and so I have a lot of things going on, and of course I love to golf. so I don't have time necessarily to change my outfit before or after a round. So I really wanted pieces that you could wear throughout the rest of the day, and you didn't feel like you had to explain yourself on why you were wearing what you were wearing, or feel like you were out of place. And then also, as far as bringing in younger girls into the game, I started playing when I was 19. And I quickly found out that there were not a lot of options and things that I wanted to wear. However, whenever you play for the first time, you don't have an outfit laying around. So you're a couple $100 into an outfit for something that you haven't even tried yet and maybe you won't like. So at least with a lot of our pieces, you can wear them for something else. You're not going to feel like you're wasting money if you try a sport and you don't like it.
Right, and that's why I mentioned that, because, like I said, particularly with the tops, I mean, the tops are very of course, I'm a guy, so, what do I know about style? But, if you look at, I know a little bit, I just don't do it. But anyways, when I look at some of the tops that you have, I could very easily see, and I'm sure have seen, women that can, change from wearing the skirt or some other of the other parts, and have that as an accessory, and maybe put on some other outfit, whether a traditional skirt or something like that, and that top would fit in, and nobody would be the wiser that they just came from the golf course. So I like the fact that there's a versatility, because that's one complaint that I think a lot of women have, is that they sort of get labeled into a box. If they're going to play, whether it be golf, tennis, or whatever sport, that they sort of get put in. And golf is a great sport, and there is some great aspects to it, but you don't always want to look like you just left the golf course. You want to be able to quickly change without having to change everything, and be able to go to the next part of your day, whether it go into evening or afternoon and do some other function, as I said, without looking like you just walked off the 18th green. And I think you've captured that very well. So I want to ask you, Ashley.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I want to ask you as well, I alluded to the fact that, obviously, I think one of the ways to grow this game is to go after some of the younger women out there. And even though you are getting other women approaching that, was your design when you first started out really to go after that market, or you were just going after the women's market in general?
It was honestly so I had something to wear. No, I wanted to capture the market in general, but really I struggle with, I'm not a professional golfer, and I struggled for years trying to find women to even play around with. I ended up playing with my husband and his friends most of the time, his male friends. And then as I got more involved in the sport, I realized there just weren't a lot of women who played. And then as I, started a family, I realized, wow, this is like a great sport that I could actually play with my son. There aren't a lot of sports a mom and a son can play with, play together. And actually, I don't have to sit on the sidelines. So it hurt me to see that there weren't a lot of women involved, and that the younger generations, men included, it was hard to get people on the course. So I really want to do my part to try to help, keep the game alive and get younger people involved, because it is such a great sport. It really is.
Yeah, and you're right. Traditionally, moms and no pun intended, but you hear the old adage, soccer moms, and that's pretty much what people visualize when they're helping, getting involved with their children is, coming to the soccer games and that. But, as a mother, you don't want to have to be running up and down the field playing soccer. You might do it a little bit, but that's something that can be very tiresome, especially after you've been looking after your kids all day long. And I don't know what age your children are, but if they're little ones, then obviously, they have a lot of energy and they want to get out and do things. And golf is a great way that you can kind of have a little bit more relaxed attitude. It's more of a thinker's game than really a physical game. And it can be challenging both for you and obviously for your youngsters. But I like the fact that the way you're approaching this, because, again, you're not necessarily targeting one specific demographic in the women's market. But at the same time, you recognize there needs to be growth in the game. So what's been some of the feedback so far that you've gotten both, from some of your customers? What's been sort of the feedback, and has there been some suggestions on other things for you to do?
A lot of the feedback has been so overwhelmingly great, which is obviously starting a new business, a new company, that's a fear that you naturally have. Our material, I think, has been one of the biggest compliments that I've received, just because it is so durable and comfortable and so perfect for the game. In Oklahoma, a lot of times in the summer, we're playing in 100-plus degree weather. So,
right.
Making sure that I had the perfect material on all the clothing was greatly important to me. Also, kind of hitting on the women's side, a lot of our designs, when you look at them, women would say, well, how are you going to play in that? What kind of bra are you going to wear? We actually just took that problem out. We have built-in bras on all of our tops, so it's one less thing to have to worry about.
Yeah, and that's perfect.
And they're comfortable, and Fiamma and I both wore them to make sure that they were going to be perfect for what women need during the game. Also, a lot of women have been very surprised on the fit of our skirts. I did not use models when I was developing the line. I think there are more real women who golf than models. So clothing and the fit of the clothing was developed on real women. Women of all shapes and sizes, and by a golfer, not by a designer who, has never golfed before.
Right, and I noticed on your website, Fiamma, I believe you're one of the models on the site, and Ashley, I think, are you not, or maybe I'm mistaken, but you're actually in a few of the shots as well, are you not?
I am not, but we did have a lot of blonde girls, and I'm blonde, so I kind of end up.
Okay, that's where the confusion got in, I guess. But yeah, no, they look great in the outfits and that. Now you guys were down at the PGA show, Fiamma. Obviously, you've seen a lot of different things out there and that, and you're trying to help get that line out here and that. Did you learn anything while you were down at the show from walking around that is going to help both you and Ashley down the road in future developments? Were there things that you saw that, hey, I think this is something that could be adapted here as well? And if so, maybe give us an idea of some of the things that you saw while you were down there.
Yeah, I think, we have some big plans going forward, obviously, that you guys will find out about in the future.
Okay.
But I think just the main thing that sets Ashley's line apart from other lines is the versatility of it, and just being able to have that fashion out on the golf course. And, the pieces are versatile where you can throw on a long sleeve over the polo and still look preppy and cute. And, like she said, run and grab your kids from school after you get off the golf course, or go work out. I know I work out in a lot of the tops. So it's a great line for all different activities, and you're not spending $200 on an outfit that you can't wear, outside of the golf course without looking like crazy. So it's a great line, and I think that's what really sets it apart from everyone else.
Yeah, I know when I was down, I didn't make it down this year, unfortunately, but when I was down previously, and, I saw some of the other women designers, and don't get me wrong, there were some great designs, very interesting. Certainly it outshines the men's designs, I can tell you that from personal experience. I'm kind of getting tired of looking at the same, styled polos and colors and combinations and patterns. I wish they would come out with something a little bit different. But anyways, that's another show. But one of the things that I did notice, and Ashley, you mentioned this in the beginning, was there were a lot of patterns. And again, it's great maybe for on the golf course, but it didn't lend to a versatility off the golf course. And I can see where a lot of women may not want to, or it doesn't mesh in with some of the other things they have in their closet, to be able to wear outside of that. So it's either golf or nothing. And, the other thing I wanted to ask, and I know you maybe don't want to get into specifics. I kind of got that impression from Fiamma, that, you have some other big plans in that. But are there other areas, like maybe other golf accessories in addition to the clothing aspect, that you're considering or you've been looking at? And if you don't want to give any specifics out, that's fine. But is that something in your wheelhouse that you're thinking about for down the road?
Absolutely. I actually I have a patent pending right now, so that might have been one of the things she was hinting at. It was just another one of those things that came from necessity. That's why I developed the line, was necessity. needed clothes to wear that I liked. And so, in the future there may be other accessories, but I know this one device in particular we're working on, and it'll work with our clothing that we have now. There are a couple pieces in there that are kind of hidden that work along with this thing. So
perfect.
It'll be really cool whenever we can divulge all that information.
Well, I'll tell you what, when you do, let me know, and we'd love to have you come back on and share that with us. But I look at it this way, and this is why I enjoy doing what I'm doing here with the program, is it gives me an opportunity to see where some of the minds are going in development. And there's a lot of great ideas coming out right now in golf, and with a lot of young entrepreneurs like yourselves. And Fiamma, obviously I know you're out playing on the tours, Nat, and you're focused more on the playing aspect of golf, but you've sort of lent your voice, if you will, to Ashley in this area. And I applaud you for doing that. And one of the things that I truly believe that if we're going to grow this game, one of the big markets that has to be developed that really is not being developed, in my opinion, to its full potential is the women's market. So the more young women, Ashley, like yourself and Fiamma, that are out there exposing their ideas and their thoughts and views, and letting other women know that, hey, this sport is for us as well. It's not just the professionals that go out and play, but it's for the everyday women out there as well. I think, kudos to both of you for doing that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you for what you're doing for women's golf as well, and getting a voice out there.
Well, I appreciate it, and thank you. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, Cindy and I tried to. I wish, unfortunately, Cindy had been available today to join the discussion, because I know she would have had a lot of questions as well. And I'll make sure that the next time you guys come on, that she's here. But one of the things that we try to do is really open up people's eyes. And I know, talking through a number of people up in the Northeast, particularly, obviously there's a lot of big population in New York and New Jersey and other areas in the Northeast, and there's a lot of people up there that, of course, that are involved in golf that are trying to grow the game, particularly in women's. I can think of a number off the top of my head. And one of the biggest complaints that they've had, and I'm sure you saw a little bit about this at the PGA show, is that there really wasn't a lot available. Now, PGA is obviously different, merchandising show I'm talking about, but some of these other different trade shows and things going on, there really wasn't a very big representation towards the women's market. So it kind of lends to, if you want to grow that market, then you have to bring in more people like yourself, Ashley, and Fiamma, to come in and be able to talk about women's golf. If you want to do that, you can't just have all the men's accessories or the men's lines or the discussions about men's golf. You have to have women's golf as well. Do you see this line, Ashley, as something that you want to work into women that want to play from a corporate standpoint? Obviously, a lot of women executives now in the picture. Are you going to try and go after that market a little bit as well?
Yes, absolutely. That's in the works, as well as just the everyday golfer and the professional golfer, like you said. We really want to capture just women's golf market, and right now, unfortunately, it's not the biggest, but there's so much potential, and there's so many women who play and don't have options. And that's just what, like you said, there weren't a lot of options for women, and I want to be an option for women and grow the game as well. I really, I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't want to exclude any part of the market share as far as women's golf. And I just want to grow with women's golf and really listen to the customers and get feedback and develop a fashionable and very, very functional line. It can't just be cute. So
right. Yeah, well said. And I noticed that you got a section on your website that you have a blog. You've got some posts on there. Are you going to open up that? Yeah, I know. Well, hey, you know what? It's just developing, and that's got to grow. But are you going to try and maybe use that forum through the site or through other areas to allow some of the women out there to sort of give you feedback? I think that would be a great way to open up the doors, if you will, for some conversation for you guys to be able to say, hey, we want to hear from you. What do you want to see? What direction would you like to see? Do you like what you're seeing so far? What changes? In other words, get a dialogue going back and forth between you and some of the customers out there. Is that something that you are also going to try and incorporate into your business model?
Absolutely. Right now we are developing our team of brand ambassadors, and each girl that comes on with us will also have a blog as well, so that will give a little bit more platform. I don't have, unfortunately, the time now to be able to blog as much as I would like, so bringing in the other girls who also have different aspects of golf, professionals, more amateurs, etc., and letting customers interact with them as well is great, because I can observe from the outside and see it in a different way than I would if I were necessarily the one interacting back and forth too. So yeah, that's part of our plan as well, and all their blogs will be on our website linked into that, so you can easily connect to the brand ambassadors and talk to them. Perfect.
Now, obviously, you know, as time goes on, you're going to get busier and busier in that, and adding some additional help, if you will, is going to become necessary. Where are the clothes? I mean, you're designing them, I know, but where are they being produced now? Are they here in the United States being produced, or are you looking at outside markets to, you know, with the cost factor involved to help that? Where do you see it going in that area?
So currently we're manufactured in Los Angeles in California. I thought if I could help with jobs, I felt like I was doing my civic duty. And I knew that there was a cost factor in there, but I thought that in my mind I could justify paying a few more dollars for something if I knew that I was helping, you know, with jobs and the economy, etc. And so that's my plan for now. I would like to stay here as long as possible, but, you know, you can't really predict the future per se.
And you want to be able to two things. I mean, in addition to offering you know, clothing that's going to fit, be cost, you know, conscious. Obviously, in this economy that we're dealing with now, people are very you know, counting their pennies, if you will. So you have to be cognizant of that. But at the same time, you don't want to sacrifice quality necessarily for pricing. So you want to be able to make sure that you're offering a good brand. So I think that's very smart that you're keeping it in-house for a number of reasons. The quality is good, but also, you know, you're helping grow your own economies here in the United States. So I think that's fantastic that you're doing that. Let's very quickly let the folks know where they can go. I mean, obviously, you have a website. So what's the website, and how else can they go about getting in touch with you if they need to?
Okay, absolutely. Thank you. The website is www.flirtee, which is FLIRTEE, golf.com. And you can order product on there. You can reach me through the website and Fiamma through the website. And also, several country clubs are carrying the line. It would be a lot to name off all of those, but hopefully we'll be, you know, in local markets available to everyone soon. We're definitely in several now, so.
Well, I mean, I think it's incredible, you know, in the short time since you've really officially launched this last January, you know, how much headway you've made already. I've seen lots of things on social media about the products, a lot of very good feedback already in such a short period of time. So I know that it's going to be very successful. And Fiamma, I'm going to give you the last few words here, if you will. Something that I was reading while I was scanning through your profile. Obviously, your father is a big part of golf with you as well. And I know that he's a big supporter. Does he often get to attend some of the tournaments that you're playing in when you do play, or is he sometimes? I know obviously he's getting up there in age like the rest of us, but does he get a chance to come out and sort of root you on, or does he have to sort of from the sidelines?
Yeah, he comes to the ones that are close. Obviously, when I play in Texas, he'll come. And he's been a trooper lately. He's 86, so he's a little older than the rest of everyone. But he's still, you know, he'll walk 9 holes at least, sometimes 18 because he just can't stand it. He has to be out there, and he'll make himself do it if it's, you know, the death of him. But he got to come out to Arizona with me and caddy in the tournament because he got to ride in a cart. So that was really, really cool. Trying to get him out there again before, you know, he's not able to anymore. So we'll see, hopefully this year at some point, and then he'll make the close ones again. So.
Well, I watched, the reason why I brought that up is I watched the video, of course, that you supplied when you were becoming part of the Big Break Florida. And, of course, it was sort of a synopsis of your family and that. And he just seemed like a wonderful man, and obviously looks like he's a great cook, too, so that always helps to have a good cook. And, of course, he's Italian like me, so, hey, why not? And I know one other interesting point I want to mention before I let you ladies go is, Fiamma, I know that your name translated is Flame of Happiness, and I saw through the video that you do have a smile all the time, and you are obviously a very happy spirit, and I know that you're going to do phenomenal things as time goes on, both on and off the golf course. So I want to wish both of you much continued success, both in your careers.
Oh, thank you.
And with the line as well. And you're certainly welcome to come back anytime. And as I promise, the next time you come back, when you've got something that you want to share with the audience, I will make sure that Cindy's here as well. As I said, I know she'll have some questions and would love to talk to the two of you as well. So I appreciate you giving your time this morning. Much continued success. And I hope you will be more than happy to come back again in the future.
Thank you so
absolutely.
much. Thank you.
All right.
We really
You're
appreciate it.
Not a problem. Ladies, much luck, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you very much for joining me on the Women of Golf.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks again.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, that was my very special guests, Fiamma Felitch and Ashley Dyer. Fiamma, of course, is a professional golfer who currently is competing on both the Cactus and the Symetra Tours, and on her way to earning full-time on the LPGA, and I know that she's going to do that here before too long. And, of course, Ashley Dyer, who is the owner-president of Flir Golf. So make sure that you go to www.flirtee, that's FLIRTEE golf.com, and you can check out some of the great aspects of her clothing line on that website, and you can actually order right from the website and get in touch with her if you have any comments or questions, or maybe some ideas that you would like to see in the future. So make sure you do that, and I want to thank them again for joining me here this morning on the Women of Golf. So remember to keep tuning in each and every week on Tuesdays from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on blogtalkradio.com. I look forward, as does Cindy, to helping you grow your game and develop both the physical game and also the mental side of the game as well. And speaking of which, as I mentioned, Cindy will be back next week with another great segment of the Own Your Game series. So until then, I'm Ted Odorico, and I want to thank you all for joining me on the Women of Golf show. We will see you next week right here on the Women of Golf. Thank you and God bless.